Good evening. I'm not going to be able to stop laughing now. Good evening, UK Crime Book Club. That's it. Should we just start again?
We're going to go, that'll do. Welcome to the Grinning Idiots Club.
No, that's at the end. We're grinning idiots at the end. Right, let's move on. So, hello, Tony Millington.
Hello, Sam.
Congratulations on publication day yesterday.
Thank you very much.
So, first off, just show us the books and tell us a little bit while we get going.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tony. I am the publisher for the Monty and Watson crime series. First one was this one, Family First, which came out in June of last year, and the paperback came out about 2 or 3 months ago. The second one, as the one from Publish Day, as Sam said, is Friends Close. Keep Your Friends Close. Unfortunately, I don't have anything of the front cover to actually show you at the moment, so I've got the paperback with me.
Mine, I bought it yesterday and it's not turned up yet, so I'm a bit gutted, but I can actually get this one down and show it off because, as you know, I'm clumsy, but I love this book. But I figured out that if I keep them separate, from I don't knock everything over, touch wood. So we shall see. I was, yeah, no, that one's, the cover's not come up on my Kindle, so I can't show it. But it's the really lovely covers as well, aren't they? They've got a real good theme running through them.
Yeah, there's a great bloke in Dark Edge Press, whose name escapes me at the moment, and he does some belting covers for all of the authors through Dark Edge Press. What they normally do is they send the author a first mock-up of what they believe the cover should look like, and you say yes, no, but most of the time it's absolutely brilliant, and then they just go back and fiddle a bit with the writing and the colour of the actual cover until it's perfect, send it back to you, and then you give it the okay, and away we go. But it's been absolutely brilliant. The one for the third one, they said, what do you suggest? So I've sent through a few pictures that I found online, and then we'll see what comes up with that one.
Just tagged a couple of people ready so they can find us and pinned us. So we are able to be found easily now while you've been introducing yourself.
Thank you.
So talk to me about how long each book took to write.
The first one, the Family First, that was getting on for about a year or so, because I knew nothing about writing. I just did Family First as a one-off to see whether I could actually write a novel, write a story. I didn't know the ins and outs of any of it, so it was write a few bits, have a word with a few people to see whether I'm actually going along the right lines and things, and read a bit of other people's works, and it finally came out the way that has gone. But the second one, this one, keep your friends close. That was a lot easier to write. It fell into place absolutely perfectly, and I would say that was from start to finish. So I finished the last draft close on 9 months, I would say. Actually going through about 4 drafts for it before I sent it off to my first publisher. And then when it came out for this one through Dark Edge Press, I think we spent about a month or so on doing the proofreading and making sure that we got everything correct. Bambering about a few ideas with it, not changing it entirely. I'm saying that there's maybe 1 or 2 bits that were probably shuffled around to make it look the way that the police have actually done their investigative work, especially with the finding of the disappearing runner. And it was a case of how do the police go about it. So I changed 1 or 2 bits with that, and they told me which order they should be going in, and then but it's been fine after that. It's been brilliant.
We've got a few hellos already. Hi, Cass.
Hi, Cass.
Hello, Maston. who says, Tony, are your books set around Peterborough?
Loosely. The place that I've done is a fictitious place called West Ravenswood. That's brought together two places that are actually in Peterborough called Westwood and Ravensthorpe, and they're both next to each other. So I was wondering about what I would call it, and I just amalgamated both, and West Ravenswood sounded better than all the others that I thought of. So there's bits and pieces that are in there that I loosely base around Peterborough, but don't actually say what parts of Peterborough they are.
But would they be recognisable to people that knew them?
Some will be, yes. This one, I mentioned something called the Rhubarb Bridge.
Okay.
Now that is real, and that is where part of Peterborough, where the A47 goes through Peterborough, from Leicester through to Norwich. And while they were building it, it goes over one of the main thoroughfares that goes through Peterborough from north to south. This goes from east to west. And if I remember the story correctly, they built up the banks from when they were building the railway lines that were close to it. And when it started seeding and everything else like that, there was something along the lines that rhubarb started growing on the side. So they actually dug up some old allotments or something like that, and there was rhubarb that started to grow on the side of the road. So that's how it got its name, Rhubarb Bridge.
That's quite a nice story behind the name of that bridge as well.
Yeah. It's actually, because they cross-link, there's a massive roundabout underneath it.
I'm nodding along, but we both know that I couldn't find my backside with both hands if I tried. I've got no sense of direction whatsoever,
Right.
as you're well aware of. Kerry Barnes has said hiya. Hello, Kerry.
Hi.
Polly Swan. Hello, Polly.
Hello, Polly.
Said hello. So Kaz was saying, can you tell us more about the locations used in the book? So other than Rhubarb Bridge, which is lovely, what else?
The one out of Family First, the Dragon's Den pub, was an amalgamation of two pubs I used to frequent when I was younger. One was at part of called the Boot and Shoe in South Liffman, a village my parents live at, and the other one was the Star in Peterborough, no longer there. So I just did a bit of amalgamation of both. I know some friends of mine that know about and said, yeah, we recognise them straight away. We recognise that straight away. Other bits, the one from the first book, the road that the ex-governor his house is on, that is based on a private road from where I used to live up in Lincolnshire. And there's a private road which runs close to where the Lindam is, and nobody goes down there unless you want to walk your dogs down at the bottom. But all the houses, like I explained in that passage, are large, and you could actually put a party in the back garden of them without anybody noticing and bothering the neighbours, not for certain. And the trees that I said about it, that actually is it. There's a load of beech trees out down the side.
Beautiful. Don't set him off, Kaz. Sam is marvellous, but she needs to get writing her debut. Any words of advice for her? I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it.
Don't worry, Caroline. I have had a word.
Harassed me, hounded me.
I have. I don't think I'm the only one either.
And actually, I'm gonna bring Polly in on this, so I'm not on my own. Polly's gonna write a debut. Give us some advice, Tony.
I would say write down what is in your brain at the moment you think about it, so you don't lose it. And then it might not look good on paper, but you can always fiddle around with it and make sure it's to your liking. That's all I'd say. Is anything that you think of, just jot it down straight away in folder, in a notepad, on your computer, and then you can just play around with them as you go. It won't get written if it's only in your head.
Consider our hands slapped.
Yeah, I'm not going to slap. Yeah.
Kerry Barnes has said, your first book touches on ex-prisoners. Do you have prison scenes in the book?
In the second one, no, there isn't. Not in the second one.
Definitely not in the second one, which
Not
is
in the second one.
fantastic.
No, there's nothing in there to do with prisons.
But there is a casino. Why did you choose to use a casino in the second book? I mean, it lends itself really well to the story, doesn't it? So it is an obvious choice of building for the things that go on in fictional ones. Let's just say fictional ones.
Yes, because there isn't a casino in Peterborough. Yeah, I just thought it just came straight out. I just thought about it and just thought, yeah, that'll be a good place to actually for the Russell brothers to own and to have their den, if you can call it that, of crooks sitting there. They can bring in all the well-to-do and the chiefs of Peterborough's council, or all the factories that are around there, all the bosses and everything, and ply them with whatever he wants to ply them with, and then they're in his hands for however long he wants to use them for.
It does work so well as a location, though, doesn't it? Because just making sure in my head I'm not giving anything away with anything that I'm about to say. No. But let's just talk about casinos in general and why they're so good. Because, like you say, there's so many different people in and out from all walks of life. Yeah. People use it to celebrate all kinds of things. There's so many different vantage points to see what's going on. Yeah. And there's such a slick, well-oiled machine most of the time. Yeah, the ones in fiction certainly are. Whether the real ones are as good, I've no idea.
No, I don't. I've never entered any establishment of that type. But yeah, you can go from the high rollers, like they say they are, to the let's just go in and see what it's like, and we'll spend a tenner, and you get hooked. Which I'm not going to give any. Well, yeah, you get hooked, which is what one of the characters do, shall we say?
Yeah.
And do it that way.
How much fun is it continuing the relationship between Watson and Monteith? Because I just love them. They're a fantastic duo. They're such good friends. They're the best mate that we all want, and that I'm lucky enough to have. So.
Yeah, it's been brilliant with them. Trying to find other things to do, let them do and everything. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've carried it on with the other two books that are yet to be published, and they get up to some completely, I wouldn't say nutty things, but they some of the things that they say to each other is just like any normal friends would do to anybody else, or any banter that you would get in any office. And get away with. They're just friends from school that have kept together since all the way through into work, and it's been an absolute riot writing them. Trying to do them completely different, and Watson is a bit straight-laced and does everything by the book, and Monteith is a bit of a tearaway, shall we say. Bends the rules.
There's definitely some development of the team as well.
Yes,
it's such a great team in there, and there were some things that really made me howl laughing. I won't say what any of them are because it really would spoil it. But there was I'll hint to you what it is. So there was a line in the police station from somebody, a food related joke, and it was somebody who you wouldn't expect to say it. And it silenced the whole team, and it was just really funny. I'll tell you what it was when we go offline.
Yeah, I have a feeling what it might be. I think that might go back to the first book, and doing it that way. I'm not too sure. It's either the first book.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah.
before I go and put my foot in my mouth. We all know it's coming. Let's try to not.
Yeah, that's true.
So, do you know yet the dates for book 3 and book 4's release? Have you got any ideas?
I've got nothing at all. No. I think it might be around June, July time when we start doing the editing for 3. So we may get it towards the end of the year, but don't quote me on that.
Now that'd be exciting. Because I'm already chomping at the bit for the next one.
I know quite a few people that are actually doing that.
And you were just telling me before we came on, you've already had some lovely reviews. I need to write mine. I only finished reading today.
Yeah, I've had some absolute belting reviews from people. I mean, there's one that is already on the UK Prime Book Club from Deb Day.
Deb Day, yeah.
That I like. And if you are actually watching it, hi, thank you for that. And I've just read Sharon Rimelswan's one. That's just been published, and that. Thank you very much, Sharon, if you're watching it.
I'm fairly certain I saw one from Donna as well.
Donna was the first one on the
on Amazon.
Yeah, she put that on Amazon with that. She gave me a preview of it before she put it on there, and thanks very much, Donna. It's been brilliant. She's going to get me back tomorrow when she interviews me for her. So I'm dreading that. I don't know what she's going to come up with. Not this time.
Tell us about your blog tour then.
That is been done by, I can't remember the name. It's over the next couple of weeks. There's about Tuesday, 4th this week, and I think there's another 3 next week. So yeah, Sharon's the second one that came out today. And anything like that is a bonus, and if you pick up any sales and new readers, that is definitely a bonus.
So what other kind of things do you do for coming up to publication day?
It's just try and flood the Facebook and Twitter with the book, and countdowns to when it's actually coming out, and I would say veiled threats, but not saying let the Russell brothers loose on them if we don't buy it. But yeah, that's just a comical way of doing it. But that's mainly the ones that do it. And Dark Edge Press are absolutely brilliant at doing all the advertising for it. Not only on here, but I think they've gone out to print media as well, and magazines and the like. So I don't know what the comeback is from them as yet.
Must be exciting though.
Oh yeah, it is. It is, yes. To see your hard work that you've done, like I said, with this one for 9 months, looking back at you all in print, is just amazing. This time, probably 4 years ago or something like that, I would never even thought about doing something like this. And then I'm in the middle of now writing book 5, and my life has just disappeared in a completely different direction than it was before then.
Did you know before you sat down to write your debut, did you ever think at some point that you would ever be doing that?
No, it was just a one-off remark that I heard on the radio with somebody saying everybody's got a book in them. So I thought, yeah, I'll have a go. I had a few things in my head. Like I said, if it's in your head, you can't do a lot with it. So I started writing things down. The first part of it was actually the opening to Family First, and getting that right. And then after that, it just flowed after that. Before that, I hadn't really even thought about writing a book.
Isn't that bizarre? That it just kind of came out of nowhere, and now here you are with going on to the 5th book.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part about it, because I left with Family First. I left it on a cliffhanger, so I knew where and how I could start book two. And then you've seen what book two starts and finishes like. But book three, there are bits of book two and book one that are going to be in book three. But I started with a clean slate, and I knew what the start was going to be like with that. And then I just built the book on around that. I knew with book three there are characters in there which have made a appearance from book one, which will take over as main characters for book three, and I'll leave you at that.
Okay. See, now I just want to sit here and think about that for a while, and I can't. Kerry's asked, why did you choose police procedurals? That's a good question.
Because that's the only thing I think I could write. Everybody's like sits down in front of the telly and watches all the crime things, so like all CSI things and things that were on BBC and ITV. The only other books I would probably try and write will be something to do with sport, but there isn't a great. You don't see many of those around at the time. They're a bit of a sub-genre that you don't really see getting bandied around in places like on Facebook and everything like that. So America you do in some places because they're big on their American football and their baseball, and there's a lot of authors that do things like that. Dick Francis did it over here with horse racing. He was an ex-jockey, so he did it with horse racing over here. But I'm not. I wasn't too sure whether it would work over here, so I'm doing it a little bit involved with this, with the police procedural, in the way of Watson's family and one of the kids actually being in junior football. So I've got around it that way and actually managed to bring it in that way. But that's the way for police procedural. I mean, I can't see myself writing romance books, especially under a women's pseudonym name or something like that. I mean, it could work because it's Tony with an I for a lady. You could do it that way. And even though I do like sci-fi, like Star Trek and Star Wars, I wouldn't know one end of a Star Trek or Star Wars ship to another. So things like that, no, I'll leave that to the people that can do that.
It's nice to know that's why sports come into it. With the obviously, again, I won't say,
no,
but yeah, it's nice to know that's why it's come in. That it's one of your interests, so that you're finding a way to bring into the book. Yeah. I like that. Why did you choose to give Watson and Monteith kind of families? They've got different family situations, but they're both married with children.
Yeah.
So, and fairly normal blokes, as you said. Monteith's a bit off the wall sometimes, but makes it interesting and more realistic.
Yeah, it does. Because I thought there was, if you read them, quite a load of them, they are people say stereotypical people that are addicted to drink. Police officers and detectives that are addicted to drink. They have their family life is a mess. Their family life has got divorced. They've got whatever else. I just didn't feel like writing about that way. When I first sat down and wrote Family First, it was, right, there's my two detectives. I've given them names. Right, I want them to have families, children, and settled family life and settled children. Not too settled, as you'll find out throughout the books, but yeah, I wanted to make sure that they did have a life outside of their work life. So yeah, I've done it that way and made sure that the wives know who wears the trousers around most of the places.
Is that a nod to Anne?
Possibly.
We've I wanted to ask you, I know what it was. You've mentioned one of our mutual friends in your book.
Oh yes, yes, Mr. Forder.
Mr. Forder.
Yeah, yeah. When I first wrote the book, he had a look at the ARC, the Advanced Reader's Copy of it,
Hmm.
and got in touch with me and said it was a bit of a surprise to see his name sitting there, in the side of a book with somebody else actually reading one of his books, inside of a book somebody else has written. Yeah.
I like that. It's a nice book, isn't it?
He was quite pleasantly surprised with it.
No, I like that. Do you think you'd ever do that with any of your own? I know Jim Oddy, sorry, has his characters reading some of his books, but then being a bit self-deprecating about what they thought of the books.
No, I don't think I would. I hadn't thought about it actually doing that way, but no, I don't think I would do it that way.
I know one of our favourite questions, and I ask everybody this now, and I'm pretty sure Kaz does as well, is have you ever acted out any of the scenes?
Not physically, no. In my head, yes, but not physically. There are sort of like conversation. You have the conversations in your head between the two people just to make sure you get it right, and you can I can visually see the scene playing out as I'm doing it. So, like I say, if somebody's talking, like Watson's talking to his person on the other side of the desk, I see them talking to each other over there, and if they turn to see somebody out the window into the main office, I'll see them out there, or things like that. I mean, there's a few altercations, so I actually in the books I actually see, and actually visualize them as they're going on to make sure that I've got it right, instead of just writing anything down, and just make sure I know that's whoever punches whoever is doing it in the correct way and where it's actually going to be hitting. Actually acting it out, no, I don't.
But it does show why your dialogue's so natural. The fact that you're sitting and kind of watching these conversations play out in front of you as you're doing it.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it any other way as far as I know. If you're just writing down plain text, somebody talking, you've got to put what the context is and how they are feeling, their mannerisms. If somebody said something to them, how do they react to it? And doing it that way, but without you actually thinking about doing it, there's no way it'll actually come out in the book.
Yeah, Kaz has asked what you're working on at the moment.
I am working on book 5 of Watson and Monteith. Can I say anything about it? There is another dead body in it.
You do like a dead body?
Oh yeah, there was one straight at the start of that, and yeah, I'll leave it at that at the moment because I've not really got that far into it. There's not a lot I can actually say about it at the moment.
And that's the thing, you never know how much things will change between now and the time you get through it.
No, you don't. But yeah, books, they go through the mill a bit in books 3 and 4 as well.
So you're not going to give them a break then?
Oh, I don't give them a break, no.
What about in between? Because it's obviously it takes a while for the books to come out.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing a standalone of something else, or starting another series?
I have thought about doing things like doing a series that is based in Peterborough instead of doing it as it's West Ravenswood. But then you've got license if you do something that's not actually there, a place that's not actually there. If you do something like Peterborough, I know the vast majority of crime fiction is done in places that are real, but you've got to know the area pretty well to actually do it. There's quite a lot of readers that are out there that actually contact the authors to say you've got this wrong, you've got that wrong, and whatever else. So that's one thing that I was thinking of doing. Yeah. Whether I will do is another matter.
Fair enough. And when it comes to, obviously, you've had some reviews that you've loved. How important do you think it is as an author to have that kind of feedback from readers?
Very. To get a review back that praises what you're doing and really knows what you've put into the book. It's very humbling, shall I say? Because while you're doing it, you don't know while you're actually writing it, you're only writing it for yourself. You're not writing it for anybody else. Yeah, I know that I want with this book for it to be published as well, but you're writing that yourself to make sure that's right. And to get feedback from any of the reviewers, whether they are authors themselves or just reviewers and bloggers themselves, is, like I said, quite humbling, and you do take it in, and you take the rough with the smooth, because there are some people out there that doesn't matter what you actually do, they probably don't like it. But touch wood, I've not come across any of those at the moment.
Well, you've got a fan sat right here, so yeah, I do rave a little bit, probably a lot.
Just a little.
So this feeds into what Kaz has just put on, something that I was gonna, you're a strong advocate for mental health. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Now, that is something that does feature in the books as well.
Yes, it does.
You show an ongoing storyline with it, and
yeah.
I just think it's such an important thing to discuss. And we've both been quite open with each other about things that mental health struggles. We all have them.
Yeah. I am a member, you could say a member, of what's called Andy's Man Club. That was set up in Halifax by an ex-rugby league player called Luke Ambler, who unfortunately, we're talking 4 years ago or so, unfortunately lost his brother-in-law, who took his own life without actually telling anybody about the reasons why. And Luke and his family found out there was nobody around for them to talk to properly. I mean, you can do it through mental health, but he didn't want to go down those routes, and he actually set up a club for men only, for men who are going through troubles in life, who have suicidal thoughts, who have attempted suicide, possibly, who just can't cope with what life has thrown at them over the last few years. So that started in Halifax, as I said, 4 years ago. They thought on building on it, they'd only get, say, after the first couple of years, probably about 5 clubs set up just in and around the area. That, after 2 years, I think was 30.
Wow.
And as we speak now, with others that are coming online, UK-wide, we are now verging on 90 Andy's Man clubs.
Amazing.
Throughout Scotland, Wales, and England. I don't think we're in Northern Ireland yet. But yeah, Scotland, Wales, and England, there's almost 90. And the last count I saw was close to 1,500 men actually attended on a Monday night on all the pubs to talk over what they're going through.
And that's the thing, isn't it? They can go and talk, or they can go and have a
Yeah.
brew or a pint, or they can
Not a pint.
not a pint. Okay.
Not a pint. No, it's alcohol free. It's tea and bickies, tea, coffee and bickies, and a chat. How it goes about it is it's done the same throughout all the clubs. They have first half. They have 3 questions for the people who do. First one is, how's your week been? So you can say whether it's been good, bad, indifferent, or you just don't need to say anything at all if you don't want to. If you don't feel it. Second one is, what's the positives you have taken from the week last week? And the third one is, have you got anything to get off your chest? Now, it could be anything from a stupid thing, as in comical, or if somebody's going through money problems or something like that, they just want to vent. Well, that's fine, the floor's there. We have a football, and if you have the football, a sponge ball, you're the one that's talking. Nobody else should be talking around you. It's just listening to you, and you have the floor. After a quick break around 8 o'clock, 10 for 10 minutes, the second half, there's 2 questions, and both of those are set by head office in Halifax. And they could be very serious ones to make you really think, or they could be completely off-the-wall questions to make everybody just laugh and have a right, go out there feeling absolutely brilliant. What were they this week? When was the last time you can remember you got praised for something that you've done? Go on then, go on with that one.
Oh, you're actually asking me that? You're not allowed to ask me questions, putting me on the spot.
I'm going to do that to you.
Yesterday morning, I had a phone call with my tutor who is helping me write, David Mark, and he was praising something that I'd written. But we're quite good at praising my house. So if there's something, it is something that we do.
Yeah.
So, it's quite a... So go on, what's yours?
The praise I
about 20 minutes ago, I told you how fantastic your book is.
Well, that's the last one that I've had. The week before was stupid things like, what was your nickname? What nicknames have you had? And that type of thing.
I'm keeping that to myself.
Yeah, and I'm keeping that to myself as well. Yeah, it's just silly things like that type of thing. It could be what films do you like, what books do you like, what TV series do you watch. Just to make people talk and bring themselves out and do things like that. But there's a serious side to it, and there's also a fun side to it.
Well, it's a good balance by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and if you want help and if you want advice, then there could be somebody that's in there that could help you, whether it's monetary advice or marriage advice or whatever else. That somebody in there is going to has been through it before you, and then might be able to point you in the best direction.
And at the very least, it's somebody to listen in a safe environment.
Somebody to listen, to make sure that you're okay, and you can say as much or as little as you want to.
So now you've just mentioned books. What have you read recently? Do you read when you're writing?
Yes, I've been reading. The last one I read was Trevor Wood, his first one.
Oh, The Man on the Street.
The Man on the Street. I've just finished that. That's been brilliant.
Yeah. The trilogy is fantastic.
Yeah, I've just read that one. I've just finished reading Malcolm Holland Drake's last one of his Harrogate series.
Oh, it's behind me here somewhere. Fragments. Oh, is it Uncertainty of Reason?
No, it's
Uncertainty of Reason.
Yeah, I've just finished that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I just finished that one as well. And I've just started one of the other authors that's with Dark Edge Press. He's down as J.C. Machek the third. It's Joseph Machek, and I get on great with him. And I'm just started reading the first one that he ever brought out in his trilogy. So I just started that last night and downloaded on Kindle Unlimited two others. One was the Snowdonia Killings.
Simon McLeave, yep.
Yeah, and the other one was Jack Probin's.
Love Jack Probin as well. You have got good taste.
I've just downloaded the second book in that, so I've got that to read.
Brilliant. My next two reads are The Botanist by M.W. Craven and The Murder Book by Mark Billingham, which I've never had a Mark Billingham arc before. And this is the book that I've been really excited about. So I'm looking forward to that book. Mike first. And you are frozen on my screen. I don't know if you have on everybody else's. Have a look on our Facebook feed. Oh dear. Oh no, I'm playing us twice. I can't pause it. I apologise. There we go. That was interesting. Right. Oh, and now he's disappeared completely. That's a good start or a good finish. We've got 20 minutes left. So Tony's book, Friends Close, Enemies Closer, came out yesterday, and I've finished reading it today before the interview, and it's brilliant. I always think with Tony, his books have just got so much heart that I'm just talking about how it was publication day yesterday and just what I thought of the book, which is, I actually wrote down books with heart, not shying away from issues, which we've kind of covered. But there is just so much warmth from your words.
Thank you.
Does that come naturally to you?
No, I don't think so.
Because it reads as though it's effortless.
No, I have to actually think about what I'm putting down. But like I said, you have to visualise when somebody's actually saying something to actually get the meaning of what they're actually saying. But yeah, it doesn't really come easy. I have to really think of what I have to write down and change it one or two times before it actually makes sense sometimes.
Well, I've been wandering around and I've got a tablet. I still can't find my Kindle. Do you remember I told you about a year ago that I'd lost it? Still don't know what I've done with it. It'll be in the book somewhere. But I tend to read them on my phone. But I've got a tablet that I've been reading on because, tired eyes, you need bigger writing than looking at it on a screen this big is not helpful.
No.
So I found myself, even when I was drying my hair earlier on, I still had the tablet in front of me reading. I've just not stopped. I've carried it around with me, and it's got like a stand on the back of it, so wherever I've been sat you can have it at different heights and stuff. And I've constantly had it in front of me since I started reading it.
No, thank you. That's good to know. Good to hear.
But I do sorry,
I've heard of one or two other people that yesterday we got it in the morning and by the evening they'd actually read it. Donna was one of them. I know that I think she read two in one day, one of them being mine.
That is some fast reading.
It is.
That is some very fast reading. I suppose it depends on the size of the books, doesn't it? But that is definitely fast reading. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is the titles. I love the titles. Are we going to get a kind of family sort of friend theme running through the rest of the books? So we've got Family First. We've got Keep Your Friends Close.
The working titles for 3 and 4 don't go along those same lines. The working title for the third one I had as Battle Lines because of what is actually going on in the book. And the other one was Tipping Point.
I like that as well.
That's got two meanings for the book in the way the way the story's runs with that.
Mm.
So that's where those titles come from. Now, whether Dark Entry Press want to keep them or whether they want to change them, I don't know. That'll be up to them and us to discuss later on down the line.
You never know if they might do a competition. I know Louise ran a competition for one of her love books, although they are crime, but you know the theme.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that.
and I can't think off the top of my head what the winning answer was, but it was said a few times. So there was a book going out to somebody for that as a prize, which is a nice way of doing it.
It is. It is. I think we've seen both of us have seen competitions to get your name in a book. And yeah, they're going through like anything. I've not done that yet in mine. I mean, I don't make them up, but I use surnames from people that I've known from school or through work or anything, and just stick another first name in front of them.
I feel like we should give a shout out to the real Watson and Monteith here.
Yes, I don't think they'll be watching it, but I will do. Yeah, the real Watson and Monteith. It was where I was actually working at the time the family first was started, and now
Nope, frozen again. So and disappeared. You like and leaving me on my own tonight, Tony, and I'm talking to you like you can hear me. That's clever. So here we go. Let's get to no, disappeared again. I'm sure we'll get Tony back any minute. Here we go. Sorry, go on, carry on.
yeah, the original Watson and Monteith are two lovely ladies that I used to work with the surname for that. One was Kerry Monteith, and the other one was Kerry Watson, or spelt differently, but the Kerrys. So what all I did was, because they were a good part.
Now, frozen on my screen again. And I do want you to hear the story of, but yeah, basically former work colleagues of Tony's. But it must be very, very strange to suddenly see yourselves as characters in a police procedural. How much is the two Kerrys, Watson and Monteith, how much is their friendship like Watson and Monteith's?
No, I don't think they are. They've got families themselves, and they go about together out of work. So it is along those lines, yeah. All I did was change the first names to close to what theirs was, so it's Terry instead of Kerry and Keith instead of Kerry. I did it that way. But yeah, that's how they came up with. I came up with them.
What kind of businesses have you used for the next book? Are there businesses, or is it something else?
No, there are businesses in the third book. There's a parcel delivery firm, and there is a motor car. Used to be an MOT place, but now they've gone into souping up cars and redesigning cars, shall we say, putting modifications on them, changing the colour and everything.
Is that another interest of yours that you found a way to fit in?
No, that's just something that just came out first bit was probably out of the family first bit. But no, that's how I felt it. As soon as I started writing stuff, that's the first things that came into my head over them. They're the main ones that are into book 3.
Something I wanted to ask you as well was when the family first paperback, when you received that, was that the first time you'd held one of your own books?
No, this one was, I received the paperback of this when it first came out underneath its original title.
Yeah.
which was On Silent
On
Grief.
Silent Grief, yeah.
And when this book, Keep Your Friends Close, originally came out, I thought 3 years ago now, something like that. It was originally called
Friends Close, Enemies Closer.
Enemies Closer. And I've got the paperbacks of both of those already, so this just adds to it. And I'm just waiting. I'll later in the week I'll order the paperback for this one.
Yeah, as I say, I ordered mine yesterday, but it's not coming till tomorrow. I thought I'd get it in time for tonight, so I'm a bit disappointed. I've not got both of your books on my shelf.
No problem.
But it's on its way.
It is.
And I read the Kindle one, so I'm kind of, at least I'm not behind. Nobody can spoil anything for me because I've got a bee in my bonnet about spoilers. I've had a couple of things spoiled for me recently by accident.
Right. Yeah.
But and I won't say what they were, or you probably don't know the people who spoiled them. But it just gets a bit frustrating. So that's why I try and be so careful with the interviews.
Yeah, and I do with the reviews as well, because I don't like it. There's quite a lot of reviews that basically talk you through the book. And if I do a review, I don't do that.
It's hard though. I get that it's hard, especially if there's something that somebody's finding frustrating about it, about a particular storyline or character, or I can understand people want to talk about things, absolutely, but they just need to stop it.
That's true.
Because I don't like it.
Yeah, you've been told.
Say again.
The listeners here have been told.
Yes, they have been told. I do get a bit antsy about spoilers. Don't care for them at all. What other kind of things? Have you done anything like any short stories?
No, I haven't. When I was, excuse me. When I was younger, just a wee nipper, I did a bit of writing just for myself on an old Remington typewriter. So I did a little bit of a story of that. I haven't got a clue where it is now. It's gone in the bin somewhere, a long time ago. And I did a bit of freelance work or something for a newspaper. I used to be a member of a cricket team and a member in a pool league. I used to send off the reports for each of those for the week, and it comes out on a Friday. And if it comes, sometimes they used them, sometimes they didn't. But in the way of other writing, that's the only writing I've done.
It's interesting, isn't it, how you kind of stumbled into crime fiction without really kind of meaning to do that, and how police procedurals have just come so naturally to you.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just the things that I actually. It's in front of you all the time. If it's not on telly, then it's in the newspapers, or it's on the telly in the news. So police procedural, police crime, whatever you want to call it, it's just around you 24/7. So it's just natural for me to actually start writing about it.
And while we know that you do love putting a dead body in your books, it's not the only crime you focus on. So there is more to each story than it just being a murder story. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's fiction, obviously.
The third one has one or two lying around, but it's also focused on on something else as well. Book 4 is the same. There is one or two that meet their end, but it is focused on something else, as well as the unfortunate nature of one or two of the people.
Unfortunately, I like that. Unfortunate nature of the characters.
Yeah.
What's more fun to write, a goodie or a baddie?
Both, I think. You've got to get inside the head of either of them to decide if it's a baddie, the reasons why they've actually done it, and a little bit of their backstory. And the goodies, like the police or anything else like that, is their hunt for the killers or anything else that's going through their lives. So it's been good to write all of it. I think most people think it's good to write about it, but to actually start thinking of different means and ways of doing things, and different crimes, yeah, you really have to think about some things at times. It might pop into your head, oh yeah, I like the sound of that, but then when you actually go and look into the whys and the wherefores about it, yeah, you need to do your research in some places.
And it must become instinctive because you've written so much with Watson and Monteith now. They as characters, it must be instinctive to you that if you're doing something and then you think, do you know what, that doesn't feel quite right, that doesn't sound like something they'd say, something they'd do, their tone of voice.
It's definitely instinctive with Watson and Monteith, and it's becoming instinctive with the rest of the squadron, and the other detectives that are there, and some of the other PCs that they get involved with, that get involved in the cases. You do get to know them a little better as you are writing more about them. So each different character has their own nuances. I won't go into too much detail for those. But there's some new detectives that come in to book 2, and it was good giving them their 5 minutes of fame going through the books, as you'll well imagine when you've been reading it. With some of the things that they come out with on top.
We have got 2 minutes left. I know that's flown. So give us a recap of Family First and Keep Your Friends Close, and tell everybody where they can buy it.
Right, Family First, that's the first one. It is out on both Kindle and paperback. That's the paperback version. And published yesterday is the second one called Keep Your Friends Close, and that is both out on Kindle and on paperback. They are both through Amazon and other good sites online. I'm not too sure as yet whether the paperbacks have reached book sale, the physical bookstores as yet, because there was a bit of a backlog recently. So that's worth actually going to have a check and see whether you can actually get them through your local bookstore.
Well, thank you so much. Now, and again, you know, I'm a huge fan, and it's always a pleasure to have you on, especially when you become friends with the people whose books you read. It's always really exciting, and I am one of those people who's got it on my Kindle and awaiting the paperback as well.
Yeah.
So you know, it's good when people have more than one copy.
Yeah. Yes, everybody buys the whole of the copy somewhere else.
And I am going to come to Peterborough at some point and get you to sign them.
I'm going to come up to Manchester sometime, that's definitely.
It was quite funny seeing Salford mentioned in this one, actually.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But we won't say any more about that.
No, they get mentioned a little bit more in book 3 about what happens when they go up there.
I look forward to seeing it. And all that's left to say is thank you. So thank you to everyone who's joined in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you for joining us to celebrate yesterday's release of book 2.
Not a pleasure. It has been a pleasure, yeah. But yeah, thank you for the invitation.